Hi everyone, and welcome to the final Tuesday review of ISCO 2020. So we've had two previous Tuesday webinars. We reviewed the Friday and then we reviewed the Saturday. And so now we're back to do a final review of the Sunday and then look back over the whole of ISCO and then look forwards to next year. Okay, so just say hi in the chat. Can see there's already people from all over Europe so far tuning in, and it's just great to have you. So let's, without further ado, let's continue. Kat, by the way, is on the chat. She's been video editing like mad all week to try and get you some highlights of the Sunday. And so I'm looking forward to seeing those. I haven't had a chance to look myself yet, so it's going to be a surprise for me too. Okay, so yes, International Shiatsu Congress Online. It was the second one we've done. It was 9th, 10th and 11th of October. And we had an absolutely great time with some very, very interesting people, some of whom I knew very well and some I didn't know at all. So it was really good. I really enjoyed myself. Okay, so this is the final review, and welcome and thank you for tuning in. So what we're going to do is going to do a little bit of background, find out a little bit about your engagement with ISCO. Then we're going to go through, there are only 4 presenters on Sunday, so it shouldn't take too long. Have a look at the video snippets that Kat's done. And then we just look back and just remind ourselves about all the presenters. A little bit about the team, remind you how to access the recordings, and then we've got some ideas about what we're going to be doing in the near future, which we're kind of excited about. So, and then if there's any time, we'll have some questions at the end. Probably take about 40 minutes, I should think, but we'll have to see how we get on. Okay, yeah, so ISCO 2020, the second one we've done, we actually did one in 2012. That was quite challenging at the time because the technology was very, very early times then. And it was all technically very difficult. Whereas this time, the whole technical stuff, thanks to the internet gods, smiled on us, and we didn't have any real technical issues. Everything went pretty smoothly. We had 780 people registered for the live event. We had about 200 people or so in each presentation. People came and went just like they would in a live event. But we have had an increasing number of people tuning in and registering for New Energy Work so they can access all the recordings and all the other online resources that we've got, and that's climbed to 2,100 members now. So that's kind of doubled since COVID started, the lockdown started. And as you probably know, since COVID, since the lockdowns in March, we've put all our paid content out free to the Shiatsu community worldwide, and the same thing with ISCO. We worked the whole event on donations only. Okay, so let's just find out from you. Did you attend the live ISCO? Did you go just for 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days, or maybe you missed the live event? Just to give us an idea of what we can offer you in the next 40 minutes or something. Okay, so nearly half of you missed the live event. You don't need to worry at all. We've got all of the recordings up now, I think, and we're just going to be finishing off the online access in the next week, and by next Tuesday we've aimed to have everything done. 30% of you went to all 3 days. Okay, that's excellent. So thank you very much. About 60% of you went to at least one of the days. So let's just find out if you went on the Sunday though, because that's what we're actually reviewing today. So did you actually get along to the Sunday live? Okay, so not so many, about a third of you went to the Sunday. So maybe you didn't do all of it. Maybe you just went to 1 or 2 things. So let's have a look back over the whole of the Sunday. Okay, we had 4 presenters on the Sunday. And to kick off, we had Patrizia Stefanini. If you haven't met Patrizia, she's a really lovely person, a great teacher. And she lives in Tuscany, just up the road from where we lived when we lived in Siena for 4 years. And she was our neighbor during those times. It was very nice to have her and Donato as neighbors. And she's got a school in Firenze, in Florence, and also one in Milan. She's very, very active. She's got a PhD in quantum physics, and she knows a lot of quantum physicists. And she's done some very interesting collaborations with Larissa Brisnik and the late Emilio Del Giudice. In fact, Patrizia and I did several workshops in Tuscany with Emilio. And it's very interesting to hear her theories and her ideas about how we may be able to explain what's happening in the meridians and in the energy field with reference to quantum effects. And on the online course, we've got lots of links. I was just preparing them today. They will be going on in the next week to academic papers that she's written with other scientists that you can read through. And they're very interesting to read through just to get kind of an idea of where Patrizia's taken the work. When she did her presentation, though, she kept it quite practical. She did some theory, and she gave some of these ideas that she has developed about how shiatsu might work and how the meridians may work in terms of information transfer. And also a big thing she has is the whole idea of being in phase with someone. So that feeling of connection that we have with our receiver, she explains that as us being in phase, like kind of two waves that are in phase together, so that we, in a sense, create one energetic system. And that makes a lot of sense to me personally, and I'm sure it does to you, to get when you have that feeling where you can sense the energy of your receiver in pretty much the same way that we sense our own energy. Okay, so she talked a lot about that, coherent sources, and she mentioned her own style of shiatsu, the Hado shiatsu style. And Patrizia did a lot of practical work, and I'm going to be pretty interested to see what what we've got in our video taster. So let's, I'm going to turn off my mic and my camera in a moment, and let's watch the video of Patrizia at ISCO 2021. Sorry, 2020. I'm really, really happy to introduce you to Patrizia Stefanini. Good morning.
Good morning, Cliff. Good morning, everybody. So when Cliff asked me to contribute to this fantastic experience, I thought that the best for me would have been to share as a human being and as a colleague this experience I'm still involved, we are still involved in, and to give you a couple of practical experience. I will show you in the second half of our hour that are the tools I find to survive, to support this expansion phase. We can move our hands along the line of our chakra, breathing in and breathing out.
She's thinking about the optical pathways. Is it just a hypothesis, or do scientists agree about this sentence? I said scientists rarely agree on anything.
We have a fantastic reference paradigm coming from the Far East. Whatever meridians we use, Chinese, Japanese, we can consider this meridian net as the human field we can tap in, and we try to be resonating with the wider environment, the universal key field that can support our shiatsu and our health. In physics world, you know, the human organism can be viewed as a complex resonating system, pulsating matter and oscillating field. And slowly, slowly, we ask our senses from the inner attitude to go outside, to reconnect with the external world. Connect with the triple heater meridian. Nowadays is our guardian angel. I call it guardian angel.
And we've had a lot of fun together, and you've introduced me to some amazing scientists over the years. We've had so much fun developing shiatsu. Really appreciate you as a colleague and a friend.
Thank you very much. The same to you. I love to end this connection with you. And I'm really, really happy, Cliff, you allowed our shiatsu community to resonate with supporting this beautiful process of integration. I hope so. Have a good day.
Okay.
Ciao, tutti from Toscana. Ciao.
Okay, so there we are. I'll just get the slides up. Okay, so there we are. You can just see, I get a really nice little taster video there from Kat. You can see there's a mixture of theories about the how the meridians can work, introducing some scientific terminology, and also lots of practical centering work as well, and a demonstration of a treatment, which was really appreciated as well. So, yeah, we had a lot of fun there with Patrizia, and you can get a little taste of, and so if you want to go back and see the whole of her presentation, you'll find it on UNG Work. Okay, so now the second presenter we had on the Sunday was Rita, and Rita I'd met before because she did a European Shiatsu Congress partnered webinar with us, because you may remember that we did a whole series of partnered webinars with the European Shiatsu Congress. It was only when I was actually talking to Rita during the rehearsals that I found out that we had met before many times. Well, certainly on one occasion that I didn't remember. I was actually her examiner in the Shiatsu Society. This would have been back in the 80s when I was a Shiatsu Society assessor, and Rita was actually one of the people that I luckily passed. I'm really glad about that, Rita. So we'd had met, and also we were hanging out around the same scene, which was around Old Street, which was in the East West Centre in London, which was in the kind of 80s, and that was a really amazing scene. And then I also found out that she came to Norwich, which is my hometown here, regularly to work with some therapists here. So yeah, we had all these connections. It really is a very small world. So Rita's been doing shiatsu for 30 years. She's got her own school called Shiatsu Spain that she directs. But what she's getting into at the moment, which is really needed, I think, we'll all agree, and that is using a technique called mindful touch education that she's developed. And what it is it's a system to get particularly kids, children, touching each other in a mindful way. And she's developed this whole system called Mindful Touch Education. It's about haptic interaction, so it's all to do with the hands, and it combines Eastern and Western research. And that was one of the most impressive things about Rita's work. It's all based on Western research into touch, into the nature of touch. It's very, very well researched and really fascinating. But she also keeps that artistic side as well. It has that artistic element to it in the way it's delivered. So let's check out the taster video that Kat's put together for Rita's presentation at ISCO 2020.
Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining this seminar. You know, the way we live, work, and relate to each other is changing so much, and human connection, as we are moving towards a unified digital society, is reduced, while our social life is more and more digitalized. And also our work and education is becoming digitalized, as we now see in the pandemic of COVID. We as a species are really in a giant touch experiment. And there are 3 global studies that have come out this summer.
You've got 60% of people do think that we are. I suppose it depends who the we is, because I suppose we're a very unique group of people, the shiatsu community, because we live by touching people.
Just to have a look, we're going to do a collective diagnosis about our human condition. So I like you to imagine that you're holding your mobile phone in your hand. Just imagine that you have your mobile phone in your hand, you're typing your messages, you're deleting. Right, I changed that a bit from last time. The original one actually said, I share, therefore I am, because I was really in the mode of, you know, oh God, more and more social media, more and more. Yeah. But since I saw the film of The Social Dilemma and have understood a bit of what is really going on, I don't know whether anybody has seen this film. Did it just come out about 2 or 3 weeks ago? It was a mind opener for me, and that's why I changed it. I am a product now. So the important thing is that when we're hugging, we're developing, we're releasing endorphins. So let's just, I count it and then tell you. So enjoy yourself, hugging, giving yourself a nice, caring, loving hug. At the same time, just be aware that we're all doing that.
It's been absolutely incredible because some of my clients, and I'm sure, and Shakura was saying the same to me the other day, that, and clients have actually said this is the first time someone has touched me for 6 months.
Are we losing touch? And a new term that's coming out now into society, which is called skin hunger and touch hunger.
It really brings into focus just that power, that simple power of touch without anything else. Just that, you know, I found that very, very powerful. Visionary piece of work, and just the quality of your presentation, I really, really enjoyed it. I'm sure everyone did. It was absolutely great. And thinking back to the Shiatsu Research Network and how they were emphasizing the link between research and acceptability in society, I mean, I think you've got it right on there.
Thank you very much. And the team. Thank you for this amazing
team. Welcome. About that. Wow, that was such an impressive piece of work there. And I'll just get my slides back up again. So there we are, there's Rita. And she's actually now training people in mindful touch education. So if you're interested in maybe putting another career path alongside your Shiatsu and going in and working with kids in schools, I can really recommend it. And I think that's when we come out of as we come out of the pandemic, I'm absolutely convinced there's going to be a real need there to re-educate everyone in this kind of mindful touch thing. So Rita's right on it, and she's got all the research. She's got a really professional presentation behind her. So just log into New Energy Work, log into ISCO 2020, check out Rita's area on there, and I'll show you how to do that if you're not sure later on. And yeah, just get in contact with her if you would like to do her training. And it would be great to have Shiatsu people out there doing that kind of work, because it kind of builds that whole awareness of touch, doesn't it? So yeah, that was Rita. As you can see, we had a great time there working together. Okay, and next up on the Sunday, we had Carola Beresford-Cooke, who you may know is co-founder of the Shiatsu College. In fact, we set up the Shiatsu College UK together with Paul Lundberg and Nicola and Elise back in 1986. So I've known Carola for even longer than that, because we met back in the early 80s at the Pauline Sasaki workshops, which were very, very influential in the UK. Pauline started coming to the UK in around 1982, 1983, and she did a series of summer workshops in Wales in this Buddhist monastery. Carola was there. In fact, everyone was there from the UK Shiatsu scene, pretty much everyone who then went on to to create schools and things like that. And that was one of the reasons why the UK Shiatsu scene is very cohesive, because pretty much almost everyone who started a school were at those workshops, and they were so influential. Elaine Liechti was there. She was founded the Shiatsu Society UK. So we're all kind of Shiatsu friends. And that really helped the whole Shiatsu scene in the UK. So it was so great that Carola agreed to join us on ISCO, and she was connecting from way out in Wales, and it was just great to have her on board. You may know that she's a 5-element acupuncturist. She's an author of Shiatsu Theory and Practice, a wonderful book, probably the Shiatsu textbook for a lot of us. Yeah, it's so great to have her on the Congress. And she decided to do a topic which is very interesting. It was about loneliness and shiatsu. And again, she has some research as well that she presented, which may or may not be in the film clip that's coming up. If it's not, I'll mention it afterwards. And she looked at the causes and effects of loneliness. We did a lot of practical work as well, a 5-element exercise, like Qigong exercise that I really like. I'm going to steal that for my online classes on a Wednesday. I can tell you that because it's really good. And we did some work, practical work, which we could do solo or on a partner. So it's a very active session, very enjoyable. So let's have a look at the promo video, or the highlight video that Kat put together, and see what she put in it. So just bear with me and I'll keep it. It's so great to have you on this Congress. We have known each other for a long time now.
Yep, coming up for 40 years.
Oh my goodness.
We were originally asked to choose subjects for the Amsterdam Congress, which I unfortunately couldn't go to. It was ages ago, and I chose shiatsu and loneliness just because it came up in my mind. I don't know why. Lonely individuals are at higher risk of the onset of disability. And I find this quite interesting. It's as if our ki begins to decline. Our ki begins not to supply our body properly when we're lonely, as if we need the contact of other people in order to supply us with ki. I don't know about you, but a lot of my shiatsu friends during the pandemic actually said they'd felt great, that it was like being in a retreat. So maybe shiatsu people are a bit different in this way. It all depends on your inner resources, because being alone is not the same as being lonely. Now, remember, what's important here is not the location, it's getting the feeling of a connection between your two hands through the body. Basically, what this slide says is that the sense of isolation and loneliness does affect our physical health, and it affects it to the same degree as obesity or cigarette smoking. Wow. And it seems to affect largely the cardiovascular system, heart attacks and stroke and high blood pressure. Okay, we've got this image of the lonely old person living on their own.
Yes.
Don't we?
Yeah.
But in fact, it is younger people. So we're going to come on to actually doing something now. So we're going to do a heaven and earth meditation. So these figures now have become even more relevant with the figures that Rita was producing about the suicides, the depressions, the anxiety since COVID-19. But anyway, the stuff that I've got is from studies that were done before.
Oh yeah, here's a question from Alexandra. Can you tell us where to find those old Chinese woodcut images? Where did you find them?
Really, thank you on behalf of everybody, all the presenters and all the attendees, because you've done something amazing here. You really have. I've been tuning in through this Congress, and so many interesting people. And it's been really inspiring to see that we're all on the same page, that the themes are constant, they keep coming up, and the same themes, and it's just incredible to have that sense of togetherness. And you've done a wonderful thing.
Carola, wasn't that great? And I would definitely, if you haven't seen that presentation, I would definitely take an hour out of your time and check out the recording, because there was a lot of information there, as you saw, about the research and everything. Very interesting that it's actually mainly more young people feel lonely than older people. And that was a really interesting thing that came out of it. And I just made a connection there, because Carola was talking about how that loneliness almost kind of depletes our ki. And that kind of links directly with what Patrizia was saying about how the ki field is to do with phase resonance, creating a field that kind of supports itself. And in a way, you can see how there's a link there between, if we cut ourselves off from connection, then it's almost like we're isolated and we don't have that phase resonance. And of course, it links again with Rita's presentation, as Carola said, because the touch again has been shown through all this research to be so essential to our mental and physical health. And Carola was very generous there, and she really enjoyed it. She was there observing it, and taking part on the chat in lots of the other presentations, and just typical of Carola, very generous and always willing to give to the shiatsu scene. So that was really, really enjoyable. Now I've got the slightly strange situation of actually presenting myself, because there's no one else around here to do it. And I've just found this picture as a selfie of, and this is what I see when I'm doing the Congress. We have a computer, a webcam, we've got lights, and there's a laptop at the side to make sure there's a kind of backup. And there's a mic there, a studio quality mic, and that's in this room here. And it's in fact, look, what I'm looking at now is exactly what you're seeing in that picture. And it's a case of just taking all of the lights and everything out of the cupboard and putting them all up, taking them down for the next time. So yeah, believe it or not, I've been doing shiatsu since 1981. I know, it's quite frightening, isn't it? So yeah, so next year is going to be my 40th year of shiatsu. We better have a big party for that, definitely. Let's hope we can all party a bit by next year. And I founded the Shiatsu College with Carola and Nicola, as I said, and Paul Lumberg and Elise back in the 80s. Okay, and I was very happy to be working with a wonderful ISCO team and the European Shiatsu Congress to bring this Congress to everyone in the Shiatsu world that wanted to tune in. Okay, so what I decided to do was, I thought, if Carola's going to do loneliness, we don't want to really finish on loneliness. I would have put Carola last, but I thought, do we really want to finish on loneliness? No. I thought, let's finish on something a bit more positive, and work on, and just think about the spiritual dimension of shiatsu. I've been doing quite a lot of research on this because of the research I did on the distance healing course that I did with the team during COVID. Found out quite a lot about the links between spiritual development and health. So I could bring some of that together, did some practical exercises, and yeah, I hope it went okay. And now I'm going to be able to actually see a clip of my very own presentation, which is going to be really weird, but you're going to have to bear with me and let's see what it's like. Okay. I've got the great pleasure and honor really to finish off this Congress. It's been an amazing experience. We're going to be tuning into our levels exercise. I'd like to share that with you. And then I'm going to do a little bit of theory, exploring the history of post-Masanaka shiatsu. Okay, so what exactly is working on the spiritual dimension? Well, for me, it's an actual specific technique that we can use, something that's practical that we can use in our shiatsu that allows us to actually expand our awareness and our actual diagnostic and treatment skills onto that level. So I wanted to go back to that crawling exercise, and we're going to do some contraction expansion experiments, okay? All you need to do is just need a pillow, but we're going to experiment with what it feels like in our energy, but also imagine what's going to happen to our touch. You look at all those huge movements that are becoming so strong now, and you can see them as a reaction to that deep need that we have on the planet to reconnect with ourselves and to reconnect with the planet that we live on. It's David Attenborough, absolutely mainstream, spelling it out. COVID-19 is a warning from the planet that we need to change. And if we don't, we're just going to get more problems moving closer into a climate emergency. Why is it important? We're going to close our eyes, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to tune into the physical level. So what I'd like you to do is scan through your body and just notice how your bones, your muscles, connective tissue, blood flow, all the physical aspects, the fluids in your body, just get in touch with those. No. Meanwhile, I was thinking, how on earth do we do that? And of course, I was very, very dissatisfied with the fact that I couldn't give any answer. And in fact, I had absolutely no idea. I've met quite a lot of practitioners who saw Pauline work and imagined that because it was so effortless for her and it looked like she was just doing this. But anyone who had a treatment from her will definitely agree with me that I think Pauline worked deeper, both physically and energetically, than any other therapist I've ever had work on me. Anyway, it was really, really deep. It just looked effortless. And why don't we just do a little bit of shaking? So tune into anywhere in your body that you feel you need to release. Pick an area, and we're just going to start just shaking that area a little bit. The great thing about shiatsu is that the spiritual dimension is built in through the concept of ki. Okay, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful experience. I've learned so much over the last 3 days. I just want to thank all the presenters for giving their time. See you again soon. And thank you so much for spending some of your weekend with us all here at ISCO 2020. Thank you. It was a great edit. It's so funny to see myself actually like presenting. But yeah, that was a kind of a fun way to finish off. And we did a lot of practical things, as you can see. Some of it you may have done already with me, and some of it hopefully was new. So that was the last presentation. Oh, so I wanted to say thank you to all the presenters. And I thought, I'll tell you what I'll do this afternoon. I had like 10 minutes. I thought, I wonder if I can get everyone's pictures onto one sheet of paper. And I managed it just about. In fact, I was so excited, I posted it on Facebook. And here they are. Here are all the presenters. And I thought I'd just take a moment just to say thank you individually to all of them as a kind of final review. And just again, if you missed any of these presentations, maybe I can just encourage you to check them out with this final review. Thank you. Okay, so first off, right at the beginning on the Friday, we had Galit, or Galu, as she likes to be called Galu by her friends. And we were her friends. Thank you for that, Galu. And she was like really strict with me. You should see her giving me a tutorial. She really straightened out my technique, and she was really great, a real breath of fresh air. After Galu, we had, and also a great way to start the Congress off. No, don't do it like that. Do it like this. Yes, okay, good. She was great. She was so much fun. And then after Galu, we had a great friend of New Energy Work, the sometimes very controversial Dan Keown. I love the guy. He's very controversial. He never follows a straight path. He's always got an angle on everything, and that's been a great asset to him because he's managed to do some incredible work connecting up Western medicine and the meridians. In fact, Dan's work is by far the most convincing explanation of the meridians that I've ever come across. And if you haven't read about it, I would check that out. Yep, so there was Dan Keown. Then he was followed, a bit of contrast, by my colleague and friend, Nicola. Nicola, who did an entire hour of Qigong, exploring the energy body in her sitting room. And it was a really great opportunity for me because I didn't have to do any talking. I could just do the Qigong with Nicola. And wow, I felt so much better after that. Okay, so then after Nicola, we had Nick Pole, and he was joined by Margot Rossi, who's an acupuncturist. She was in America and he was in the UK. This is a kind of cool thing we can do on the internet, and it all works as well. And whoa, they were outstanding. They get the prize for the most choreographed presentation of ISCO. They had everything rehearsed down. They were so professional, and they were just right on the message all the way through. Totally impressive. We're really, really happy to have both of them. And if you want to check them out, it's really worth an hour of your time to have a look at their work. Sovereignty in listening, very impressive. Okay, and then we had mixing it up. We had, after Margot and Nick, we had Alan Nash, who's English and he lives in Holland, and he mixed it up because instead of presenting any material as such, he just did some direct distance healing and some bow shin live on camera. So that was, again, very different. And then for another contrast, after Alan, we had Alice Wheeldon. Alice Wheeldon is, for me, the person who has managed to explain Seiki, and that's no easy task, I can tell you that. And that includes Kishi, by the way. Kishi was never really that good at really explaining what the hell was going on, for me anyway. But Alice has got a really, really good insight into it. She's an author. She's got a couple of doctorates, and she's written a book called Mind Clearing. And she did a live demo from Heidelberg with René Fix as the model. And thank you very much to anyone who was in that class in Heidelberg. Very generous of you to allow us into the space. So if you want more of a workshop vibe and you want to explore some Seiki and you want that kind of thing, check out Alice's and René's session. It really was very, very good, very professional. Talking to professional, after Alice, we had Suzanne Yates, known by many for all of her work on pregnancy and childbirth, a very active teacher. And again, I've met her before. I met her back in the day in Kiental, Wilfrid's European Chapter Congress back in the day. And of course, Suzanne's very well known. And she did a whole thing on the stepping vessel. That was great. She had a couple of videos. I did the whole thing. It was great fun. And so it was brilliant to have her. And again, very professional, fantastic presentation. And after Suzanne, we had Philip, who I hadn't met before. And Philip lives in Japan, and he presented from Japan, and he lives there with his wife, and he also teaches in Belgium. And we know about Philip because Dinah, who's one of our team, is editing his book, because she's a professional editor as well. Dinah, in our team, she's a superb editor. She turns all the rubbish I write into stuff that looks amazing. So if you need anything edited, just get in touch with Dinah. She'll try and fit you into her busy schedule. So we had heard it. We heard the tip. This is awesome. This book is really, really good. And sure enough, the presentation was, well, it was mind-blowing, okay? He had all these original Japanese books, absolutely beautiful, and he went really deep into the whole language, focusing mainly on Anpuku therapy, but not just the theory. We also had a whole practical session on Anpuku as well. So again, if you like the history, you like to get more into Japanese culture, and you just like to hang out with a totally cool person, you want to check out and spend some time looking at the recording of Philippe's presentation. Highly recommended. Okay, straight after Philippe, we had Michel Odoul. I've met him once before in the European Chapter Congress webinars. He's written a book called Show Me Where It Hurts and I'll Tell You Why. Highly recommended. It's very interesting the way he applies Chinese medicine to the meaning behind pain. Michel did a different presentation from the ESC one. We did a lot of chanting. You'll see me actually chanting there on the recording, using the different syllables from Shinto that he learned from his teacher. Again, a very interesting presentation, very practical. And if you want to get deeper into chanting and how it connects with the 5 elements, he's got all kinds of diagrams and all kinds of really cool chanting stuff. So again, really worth checking out. So after Michelle, we had the Shiatsu Research Network. Now there you can see all 4 of them there, all 4 of them. We started off with Sturgios and Christina, and they took the first half. And then we've got Lisa and Sandy. Now, actually, Lisa's the only person I've met face-to-face before. We met again, I think it was in Vienna, definitely. Yeah, we had a really good little exchange there in Vienna. And I've emailed many times the Shiatsu Research Network, and they've given me some fantastic feedback on our scientific basis course and also on some other webinars we've done. They're very, very active, and they work really hard for the Shiatsu world ever since 2017. So I've been trying to get them on a webinar for quite a while, and I was so happy that they agreed to come on to ISCO. And they did a 4-person presentation. We managed to get them all on, all the cameras worked. We were like, shoosh. Shakura was in the background trying to get them all on at once, and they were totally professional. They turned up on time. Everything was like super cool. And I can tell you how much influence I've heard that this is actually having an influence on the Shiatsu Society UK research. I heard through the grapevine, because it was so targeted and so clear about what evidence-based medicine is. And personally, I think Shiatsu is very, very well placed, now that I know more about it, to make waves in the whole evidence-based medicine. So check it out and definitely see what you can do there. Okay, and then moving on from the Shiatsu Research Network, we had Antigone from Greece, her very first webinar, and she was so cool. She was really good, really professional. We did a lot of sensing. It was all about focusing. So it linked really well with Nick Pole and Margot's work. It was all about focusing inside the body and how you can transform negative or, issues in your body by being with them, experiencing them and transforming them. It was all about meta skills. And again, very professional, very well paced, lots of practical work. If you want to get into meta skills, Antigone's presentation is the one. Antigone was followed by Diego. Diego, again, is a friend of New Energy Work. He was there, one of the few presenters who was at our first ISCO in 2012. And there he was coming back again to share his work that he learned from Pauline on the chakras. And again, we did a lot of practical work tuning into the chakras. We had some very interesting results about rights of the chakras and how people felt about their rights, which was very active and again, quite transformative. So if you want to do some work on your own chakras, go a bit deeper into chakra and meridian theory, Diego's presentation is really recommended. And then we're on to the final stretch. And just to remind you, we had Patrizia, who I've talked about with her quantum resonances and her in-phase stuff. Rita with her haptic touch and her games and her whole system of working with kids to get them back in touch with touching, not just their devices. And then, of course, Carola with her loneliness theme to finish with. So there we are. I managed to get everyone on, 25 little pictures. And what a fantastic group of people they were. It really was an honor to work with them. It was really, really enjoyable. So let's just finish up now. We've just, I can't go any further without thanking the team. In fact, we're still working pretty flat out. I mean, Kat was doing the video editing yesterday for this webinar, and we've still got 1 week. We've given ourselves till next Tuesday to get all the quizzes done. And then finally, the whole online version of ISCO will be fully up and running. We're finding all these links to make it a bit more of a rich experience for you. And of course, it will be there for you for as long as you need to access all the material. Okay. So yeah, we're working on the final quizzes, and we've given ourselves next Tuesday as the deadline. So hopefully, if you really want to get the CPD and CE credits for that, we'll finish it off. We'll put the certificate up, and you can make sure you've seen all of the presentations, seen the quizzes, done the quizzes, and then you can get the CE points. Of course, if you've been to the live presentations, you're going to have already seen a lot of them. So there's, there'll only be a few more to see. But anyway, they'll all be there for you. Okay, so we've got video recordings, we've got quizzes, we've got a forum there if you want to ask questions. We're going to put the certificate up soon. It's all free. It's all free as part of the free membership of New Energy Work. And we're going to try to finish it by next Tuesday. It's always good to have a deadline, isn't it? You see, we're talking about that in the team. Yeah, it's always good to have a deadline. So next Tuesday is the deadline. Okay, and just in case you want to know what it looks like, this is what it looks like when you get inside the online course. You can see we've changed it a bit because we've made an actual chapter area. It's called a chapter, but it's kind of like a whole area for each of the presenters. So you can go in there, log in, and what I've done is I've just opened up one of the chapters for you so you can see how it works. Okay, so you can see I've opened up Philippe's. You can see we've got some text introduction, we've got the presentation, the slides, the handouts, and the quiz. There's 2 questions on the quiz, and it's on draft at the moment, so that will be taken off draft when we've completed it. You can see there's Nicholas, Nick Poles, Alan Nash, Alice Wilden, Suzanne, Philippe, and so on. And they're all in order of how they were presented. Yeah, it's really easy to just zero in and just see exactly what you'd like to have a look at. And this is just what it looks like. We've actually loaded pretty much all of the presentations onto YouTube as well, just to spread the word. But we've embedded the YouTube videos into the presentation area, so it goes with all the other resources. Okay, and I'm sure many of you must have donated because we've got kind of the core group. A lot of people have donated. We've managed to run the whole event just about on donations. And so if you do want to donate towards ISCO, just go to newenergywork.com and you'll see a big heart-shaped donate button. You can just press that, and just even the smallest amount helps us with our pretty huge overheads, because the platforms we use, especially when we go up to 1,000 people, you can imagine they are big and they are expensive to run. So any help will be gratefully received by us. We're all working just for donations at the moment. Okay, so now we're looking ahead. Okay, would you be interested if we put together an ISCO 2021, maybe in October next year? We'd have maybe some of the people back, find some new people, and have another event. So let's just see how many of you would be interested, just to see whether it's worth our while putting energy into that. If we get a nice big majority, then we'll go ahead. And look at that, we're getting like 80–90%. Some people have had enough of online work, I can understand that. But most of you, by far the majority, 80-odd%, would like to do it again. So we'll start planning that. We've got a few ideas as well, maybe doing some in different languages as well, because we know that some countries like Spain, Italy, maybe not everyone can speak English. Okay, so anyway, news of upcoming events. We've got some exciting things coming up. We've got the return of the observed treatment sessions, which is basically a whole session explained with an actual real client in the center. It was part of our paid for plan, but now we're opening them up free. You do have to agree to our confidentiality guidelines though to protect the clients. They're basically themed around different clients, around different issues. And this one is actually one of my clients who has Parkinson's disease, and it's going deeper into how to treat the liver, because Parkinson's disease, you may know, is basically in TCM, is a liver wind and liver blood deficient pathology. But explain all that in the OTS. We're going to present it in a webinar that's going to be next week. We've already opened it up. If you'd like to join up, I haven't sent the email out yet. You can join up now with this link. And I'll send an email out. I'll send an email out later to everyone, all the members. It's only members of New Energy Work, so the email won't be going out to non-members. So if you haven't joined yet, go to newenergywork.com and join as a free member to make sure you're not left out. And then what we do with that webinar is we then build that into a small 5-hour course in case you want the CPD. And what we do is we go in deeper into the theory, the diagnosis, and the practice. So you can get an insight. It's a bit like an apprenticeship, being able to see what goes on, because that's one of the things we thought we'd do. Because when I trained, the biggest influence when I trained was my time with Pauline, where I had a full-time apprenticeship and I saw hundreds of treatments. And that's really how I learned. So I thought, well, that would be an amazing thing to do online. This was before COVID that we did this last year. And it's been a very, very popular thing. Now we're opening it up to a wider group. So we're excited about that. And this was all recorded before COVID, so there's no masks at the moment in the OTSs. That will come later as we produce them. So I've shared the link. Yep. So I guess you're going to sign up. I'll send an email out anyway. If you didn't get that, I'm I'm going to just delete that featured action now. Done that. Right, okay, any questions? Let me just have a quick look in the chat and see if there are any questions marked up. There's no yeah, Kat did the videoing. She was really very good because she's a dancer, she's a professional dancer, so she can move about silently and zoom in with a camera. Yeah, okay, great. So if there are no questions, we can all go and have our dinner, can't we? So yeah, I'm going to just give a big thank you to Kat. Let me just see if I've got any more slides. I think it's just a thank you slide, yeah. So I want to say thank you for Kat for doing the chat, really great. And just love to everyone, really, for everyone, all your support. It's been an amazing experience doing ISCO, and really, really excited about new energy work. We've got so much work now, and we're doing just about okay. We're just hanging on in there with the donations. So thank you to all of our donators for making it possible for us to keep working and keep spreading the shiatsu love. Okay, hope to see you next Tuesday on the Observe treatment session, and that will be sent out to members only in the next day or two. Okay, goodbye. Thank you ever so much, and thank you for all of the thank yous in the chat, and yeah, see you next Tuesday.